Let me begin. I know it is late in the afternoon. First, to thank the organizers for this. The organizers, the government of Panama, and the co-organizers for convening what I think is and has been so far a really very critical day. And the reflection I want to give now is one which says today we are ending the blue day and tomorrow we are going into the green day. And I want to share a couple of thoughts with you that I think fits into some of the things we are talking about today. So first is that this has been very timely. And it is timely because I think today the world is sending us some urgent signals. And so the topic I want to speak to is something I think that is very close to my heart, but let's say fundamental to the very survival of vulnerable nations, and indeed, if I can go further, to the prosperity of a sustainable planet. So first, I want to say we have a false divide that has permeated our thinking. We have divided environmental concerns into colors: blue for oceans, green for forests and land. But nature does not know these boundaries. Neither does climate. The rising seas don't wait for mangroves to form barriers, and droughts do not consult watersheds before withering crops. Yet we continue to segment our policies, our financing, and even our science into silos. This fragmented approach has yielded fragmented outcomes. And if we truly want to ensure ecological stability as a system, my message is we need to abandon the slice-based mentality and adopt a systems approach. As I've said before, development is not a slice. It is the whole pie. It is the interaction between land and sea, between economy and ecology, between people and planet. So let me elaborate a little more on this particular concept. First, small island developing states, or we call them SIDS, like many of our Caribbean and Pacific nations, and indeed some Indian Ocean as well, and indeed I must say Panama, which connects oceans and continents, illustrate the dangers of treating development and nature in compartments. Panama's unique geography and ecological setting, where the rainforest meets one of the world's most important maritime routes, demonstrates the tension between environmental integrity and economic imperatives. The Panama Canal depends on fresh water to operate. Yet in 2023 and again in 2024, reduced rainfall disrupted operations, cutting transits and reducing revenue. So the question is that a blue issue or is it a green issue? And the answer is no. It is a systems issue. One that links forests, rainfall, commerce, livelihoods, and national budgets. Similarly, seeds surrounded by ocean and blessed with biodiversity face existential risks when we fail to see the whole picture. Coral reefs die, fisheries collapse, tourism declines, debt rises. Truth is, we cannot solve these challenges in parts. We must look at the whole system. So I ask you to consider the following. When ocean health declines, and we're talking oceans because today is Blue Day. When ocean health declines, the consequences are system-wide. Fisheries collapse, threatening food security. Rising sea levels displace coastal populations, creating migration crises. Ocean acidification destroys marine ecosystems, weakening carbon sequestration. To be clear, therefore, ocean health is not just about marine conservation. It is about land use policies, freshwater management, and atmospheric stability. Because when forests are cut down, as our last speaker mentioned, excess nitrogen and phosphorus from agriculture wash into the rivers and eventually the ocean, fueling dead zones. When fossil fuel emissions rise, ocean acidification intensifies, threatening coral reefs and marine biodiversity. And when biodiversity loss on land escalates, it weakens ecosystems that support coastal and marine species. These, my friends, are not separate crises. They are part of the same system, one today that is in crisis. So building ocean resilience, as we have focused on today, is therefore about stabilizing not the oceans, but stabilizing the planet, keeping it habitable for future civilization. Given Earth science tells us that Earth is a dynamic, evolving system, and that we can observe shocks at a system-wide level, is there any alternative than to fix those system-wide challenges as a systems control management issue? There is none. The systems control approach, therefore, can be viewed as a systems engineer fine-tuning an engine to keep its integrity intact and its performance at its optimum, with all parts working together to deliver the harmony of the whole. So, in principle, what we have today, which I call the great asymmetry of observing impacts system-wide, but proposing solutions that are piecemeal slices in concept and implementation, has to change. So what we need, therefore, is, I think, I'm calling it a new PPP, a new paradigm, a new set of associated policies, and a new type of partnership. And to move towards this systems control, ecological stability, that PPP we talk about needs to have the three elements of a new paradigm that views nature not just as something to protect, but as an asset class. Our natural capital base as a fundamental element of wealth, just as financial capital is. We need policy coherence that aligns environmental, social, and economic objectives locally, regionally, and globally. And third, we need bold transformational partnerships across governments, development institutions, the private sector, and communities. And this is especially critical for countries like Panama and the States, where the stakes are highest and the margin for error is lowest. I wish to highlight a couple of things. First, the role of long-term mission-oriented goals as the glue to connecting transformative partnerships. They don't just exist. There must be a glue to hold them, and that's the role of long-term mission-oriented goals. Similarly, I wish to highlight the need to recognize system interconnections and dependencies in measuring total return and total risk, without which our investment decisions will remain tilted towards inappropriate resource allocation. And I mentioned this a little earlier. You cannot talk about return if you do not see the ramifications and link the pieces to say where the return is. And we cannot talk about risk if we cannot understand risk is beyond a project. And it is only when we do this and do it well, we can literally make appropriate resource allocation decisions. So this is where the Development Bank for Resilient Prosperity comes in. And if I may add, the Development Bank for Resilient Prosperity, DBRP, is not just another bank. It is a movement. It is a systems bank, and we can call it the nature bank. Because what is it designed to do? It's designed to support resilient, integrated, and nature-aligned development pathways. It sees ecological integrity not as a constraint, but as a catalyst for prosperity. It recognizes that for seeds and other vulnerable economies, the key lies in unlocking the value of natural assets, in designing blended finance solutions linking both the public and the private sector, and in enabling data-informed policies that reflect the real interconnectedness of our ecosystems, taking data to the next level in building decision-making processes. So the DBRP embraces the new PPP that we speak about. It seeks to refine development by investing not in slices, but in systems. Systems that are balanced, that are stable, and are just. So as we gather here today at the end of the Blue Day and look into going into the Green Day, where we are concerned about land, sea, climate, trade, and culture converging, let us therefore also converge our efforts. Let us move therefore from silos to systems, from fragmentation to integration, and from rhetoric to resolve. The time for a new paradigm is now, not tomorrow or next year. The time for a new kind of development institution is now, not tomorrow, not next year. And the DBRP stands ready to rise and lead that transformation. Thank you very much.